This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, and as you can tell by the title of this video, guys, the US and Russia are now both blaming each other for cyber aggression. We see this just out recently from Global News, US launching thousands of cyber attacks on Russia, and this is, of course, according to the Kremlin. Meanwhile, Russia is accusing the US of a massive cyber aggression, and here we see from ABC News, the FBI says Russia is scanning for new cyber attack targets. And you may recall I put out a video recently called "The Next False Flag Will Be a Cyber Attack on Global Supply Chains, Cyber Polygon Exposed," where I spoke with my friend James Corbett about the upcoming Cyber Polygon simulated event, how society is being conditioned for a real cyber attack to come, and most importantly, what you can do about it now in order to protect yourself and your family from this coming cyber catastrophe. Now, in that interview, we didn't discuss the financial side of how to protect yourself and how to protect one's assets. So I want to focus more so on that today, guys. So today, joining me on the line right now is Jose Vizquerra. He's the chairman of Silver Mountain Resources. AGSMR.com is the website. Sir, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us here at Press for Truth. Now, I want to start by saying, I know that nobody can predict the future with 100% accuracy, that's for sure, but we can make some moves and protect ourselves when we see certain inevitable things that may eventually come. So I wanted to ask you the hypothetical scenario. Let's just imagine for a second if there was a global cyber attack, and let's just say the supply chain went down or the global grid went down. What I'm wondering is, leading into an event like that, would you rather be stacked up with dollars? Would you rather have a large stack of cryptocurrencies leading up to an event like that? Or would you rather a stack of precious metals leading into a hypothetical event like that? Which area would you lean to and why?
I think that the history, Dan, has showed us that precious metals are precious because they can always be a position for safe haven. We have seen that from the very beginning, from the Bible times, from the times of the Romans, the times of the Greeks, and this is nothing different. Every time there has been a war, the precious metals goes up. Why? Because it's a safe haven. People tend to protect them, because if tomorrow something happens, the only thing that you can actually exchange is going to be gold or silver.
Yes, well, I do think you're right that it's always going to be worth something to someone, right? And like you said, history essentially has proven that. So what makes it unique, silver in particular, would you say? Why would silver be unique and want to, attract people?
Well, because right now what we see with silver is the utilization of silver in the different areas where it has been now very relevant. Automobile and how things are moving now with electric cars. We're seeing that now in the biotech industry because it's a great component to avoid microbials. It is a superconductor, way cheaper than gold. So you can have superconductor in every single area that you want on photovoltaic areas. So for everything that has to do with solar panels, silver has a major role. And on top of that, still has a role for jewelry, and still have a role as bars. No, I mean there are silver bars, and they're cheaper than buying gold. Clearly.
Now, you mentioned that traditionally in times of war, precious metals, in particular, silver will do well. It is potential as well for the dollar to potentially do bad in times of war. So how important do you think it is to own silver in particular when it comes to protecting yourself against the government and their currency debasement?
Well, silver is again, it's a great safe haven from a currency standpoint of view, but at the same time, you have the extra and the additional value on silver that it is within the industry. So you not only have the mechanics of silver as a currency, but you have silver as a motif in a sense, no? So that makes silver very, very unique.
Well, it's unique. It seems to me that it's still kind of a small market potentially. What do you think is going to happen when actual demand kicks in? Do you think it's really going to take off? I mean, I know you don't have a crystal ball or anything, but where do you see this going when demand kicks in?
No, but you're absolutely right. And I think demand is about to kick in. If we think about who is actually selling right now electric vehicles, it almost seems that it has been Tesla, but now you see Porsche coming with electric vehicles, you see Mercedes coming with electric vehicles, now you see Kia starting to work on that, now Nissan is doing that, now Toyota is doing that. And we have seen just a fraction of what could happen. So if we think about where the world will be in the next couple of years in terms of where are we morphing from using the oil and from using energy, we will move into electric vehicles. I think right now we have seen, I don't know, maybe 5% of what it could be. Right now, silver is only being utilized like 1 billion ounces. But I think if only, and this is only, the electrical vehicles goes double, we're talking about double the demand. Do we have the supply? And then that means that silver is just going to rocket. And that's the beauty of silver. Silver is not only a currency, but it also works as again, as I say, as a motif. Maybe that's not the exact word in English, but it works on supply and demand.
Yes. Well, I've noticed that there are a few silver miners who actually focus exclusively on silver, and you run Silver Mountain Resources. What would you say is the big opportunity there?
Well, the opportunity again is you well said it. In terms of supply, there is not a lot of supply. There's very few mining companies that are focusing only in silver. Silver Mountain Resource, the company I was very proud to found and fund and to be the chairman, is one of those few companies. It is a company where we already have in the ground 90 million ounces of silver in historical resources. That means that we already found that. It's not that we are in the process of doing exploration. No, that already exists in there, and we are moving that towards production by the end of 2023.
And how does that compare with some of your competitors or your peers in the space, I suppose? Is it, how would you compare yourselves to them? And are you going to base that on future production or what?
We are in a sense a unicorn in the sense that we already have the production facility and that we already have the resource. So we differentiate us from a lot of our competitors because we have a clear path forward to production. This is not a story of growth, although we have the growth. This is not a story of only maybe we will have the potential, but the potential is already there, and we can put it into production. So this is a story where you have the team. We have recently raised the money in the Toronto Stock Exchange. So this is a company that has a market cap of $60 million, and we have $30 million in cash. So it's very unique.
30 million in cash, good market cap. Are you currently holding any debt?
No debt, zero. We paid the debt as soon as we took the company public.
And who are some of the major shareholders?
Well, that's a very important question because those are the ones that actually validate a project of our characteristics. And we have Eric Sprott, for example, which is a very important investor in the silver industry, is one of our major investors. We have Franklin Templeton. As you know, Templeton was one of the most important investors in the world, made over $1 billion starting from zero. We have Vanek, we have Merck, and others. No, so this is a company that has very good institutions, which are the foundation for growth. No?
Now, we talked about potential calamities coming in the form of a cyber attack. We know the Russians and the US have got a lot of rhetoric about who is going to be causing this. We know there's a great deal of uncertainty with the potential for this global, 1984 pandemic to come back into action. There's so much uncertainty in the world today. So where do you see your business going in 2022, 2023? Is there some sort of a business plan for the next couple of years, especially in these crazy, troubling times?
The beauty of being in the industry where we are is that we can focus on what we can control. And what we can control is the operational cost. Although silver right now is at $25 and I may think that it goes to 50, my role as the chairman of the company is to think if I can produce at $16. So that means that if silver goes up, fantastic, you take the upside. If silver goes down, there will be other groups that will be having issues before we have the issues. And then you play with supply and demand. So I don't have the crystal ball. Do I believe that silver could go to $50? Yes, it has done it before. Do I believe that gold could go like up to $10,000? 5,000? I think is very doable in a very short period of time. But more important is, do you have the assets that would allow you to take advantage of those costs? Because that's at the end, the most important thing. Could be at $5,000. If you produce at $5,000, you're not making money.
Mm-hmm. Well, you seem to have your finger on the pulse of the real ebb and flow of the system. And perhaps that's because you come from a bit of a mining background. You come from a mining family, essentially. So how would you say that translates or relates to your new company?
I think in a sense it's certainly very pertinent what you say. I was born and raised in a family business, and I have seen the ups and downs. I have seen when we were making money, and I have seen when we were almost bankrupt. So from a very young age, I was able to see what projects make sense and which ones doesn't. And at the end, one thing that I learned from my grandfather is that you always want to have projects that are in the first quartile. That means that doesn't matter what happens with the price of the commodity that you are in, either silver, gold, copper, nickel, whatever is the case, you will be able to control your destiny if you are within this first quartile. If you are not, then you have to be very creative. But I think that the asset that we manage right now at Silver Mountain Resources is part of this first quartile, and that allows us to have a lot of flexibility.
Fantastic. Well, I'd have to agree with what you said earlier, in response to my first question. The dollar is going to have some problems. Cryptocurrencies are currently obviously potentially going to have major problems in a cyber attack, but tangible assets, things you can physically hold in your hands, like physical silver, I think, as you said, is always going to be worth something to somebody out there. So it's historically been that safe haven, that safe bet. So people who are watching this, they understand the potential calamities that's coming, and they're thinking, yeah, you know what, maybe you guys are making a lot of sense. I should start moving things from dollars or cryptos into silver. What are some of the best places people should go? What are the resources online, or what's your guys' ticker symbols, and where should people look into you more?
So our ticker symbol is AGMR, which stands for Silver Mountain Resources. You can find us at Silver Mountain Resources in the different websites, and we are trading in the Toronto Stock Exchange Venture, so you can certainly buy our stock the TSXV.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm going to put all the links to all of that in the description below. I want to encourage everybody to check that out. Certainly do your due diligence as I do, but also take those precautions. Like we said, we can't predict the future, but we know with a certain amount of certainty some things that are potentially coming down the pike, and we have to be prepared for that before they happen. So once again, be sure to check the links in the description if you want to check that out. Jose, thank you once again for joining us here today on Press for Truth and for breaking this all down for us.
Dan, thank you so much for your time, and hello to all your audience.
Thanks so much. Take care.
We all want truth. The truth will set you free.